Hi, this is Jim Jordan with Create Vibrant Health, and wishing you a happy Easter. We're all probably at home, mainly. Nobody's in church right now or anything. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about Easter and tie it into the situation in the world, maybe for those who are interested in hearing my view. Um, I was not raised Christian, but I'm familiar, of course, with Easter, what it represents, and I've been involved with different types of spiritual paths. But for me, Easter is the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead, apparently, and what it represents to me is a miracle. When you're dead, your body isn't supposed to rise up, and according to the Bible, it did. Jesus rose up from the dead. And that's a miracle, so that made it unique, and so what I'm thinking about is what is the miracle that we need, that I need, that I would like? And I've had several people say to me, "Why don't you give your positive vision of what you'd like as opposed to being critical or shining the light and saying this doesn't isn't right, and, these, numbers of the coronavirus from the government are wrong," and so I don't wanna go into all that. I do my view on that, and people are gonna come to their own conclusion over time. But my vision of a miracle, which seems like a miracle at this point, is that we can all live in a society where we can see each other and hug each other and shake hands. It's not an act of defiance of the law if you shake hands with somebody. I was in the food co-op the other day, and there was one fellow in line 6 feet in front of me that wasn't wearing a mask, and he had a six-pack of beer, and I looked at him, and we started chatting, and at the end of our conversation, he held his hand out and shook his hand, and it felt like, "Oh my god, this is like some big act of rebellion." But, when you have my perspective on what the virus is, and, communicableness of it and how it's done, you're not gonna be afraid. You can wash your hands if you want. But the bottom line is I'd like to live in a world where you can hug each other and shake hands. There's no fear about that. And how to get to there from here might be hard for a lot of people. Some people not so hard, but others might be. I would like that very much. I would like to live in a world where healthcare is a choice for people. We can choose the type of healthcare we want. It's not imposed on us from from a from an elite perspective, that we actually have options of how we want to choose to take care of our bodies, whether it's allopathic medicine or homeopathy or herbs or combinations or energy healing, that's something that's a free choice. And then we have a more decentralized society where authority rises from the bottom up, not from the top down. We got rid of that when the colonies rejected the British rule in the 18th century, of course. So authority comes from the bottom up. That's my vision of a society, a world I would like to live in, where we have freedom of choice to live the lives we want to, where our monetary system is actually not based on debt. It's actually a credit system, which would be hard to get into in this little talk, but essentially that it's a stable system, and that money is something that we can have our alternative currencies. We can actually choose. The people can choose what works for them. Maybe there's an alternative currency that works better than the fiat dollar. So whatever it is, we have choice. In other words, a society that reflects the will of the people are that's fair, that's just. That people, if there's something taken from us, there's due process. Like right now, we have our ability to make a living taken from us by the governors of our states who have ruled that some of our businesses are not essential without due process. There's been no proof, there's been no requirement of demonstrating that the work we do is harmful. It just was presumptively assumed to be non-essential. And there was no due process, and there's no justice in that. So a society where there's due process, a society where the Bill of Rights is actually respected, or an evolved version of the Bill of Rights even, but our current Bill of Rights and the law in America is respected by government. And a society where in which it's not respected, the people whose rights those are know how to stand up for those rights and are not afraid and are not, and first of all, they know what they are, they're not afraid to stand up for them, and they stand up for them. Because again, I would like to live in a society where people have enough confidence in themselves that they can make their own decisions. They can think these things through and not be just relying on an external authority, whether it's the media or the Surgeon General or whoever, but we can think these things through. We can also expect to be that if we have people serving us in government, that they actually serve us and respond to us. So that's what I would like. That's the vision I like, that there's representation of our interest in government, not representing just economic powers. So there's so that's part of it. That's part of my vision. Also, of course, a society where there's alternative energies are available, readily available. There's not subsidizing of certain friends, playing favorites, government playing favorites, taxing people and then dishing out that to their favorite entity. There's just a free market. People can choose, they can vote their dollars. So there's a leveling of the playing field for everything. So what is best will win out, as opposed to what is most connected wins out. So what is best will win out. What is best for our interest, for the people, and that we can just start to vote with what we purchase, what we choose to have with our new currency that is actually credit based and not debt based. You don't have to borrow it into existence. It's created into existence. This is one of the roles of the federal government that they have, that there's legitimate to print money that's backed by precious metal or some stable asset. So the miracle for me, the resurrection would be the resurrection of the spirit of freedom, of what I believe is the spirit of the United States, despite the fact that we've never really had it completely. But there's certainly been times where we had a lot more freedom. You can say that for a fact, even in my lifetime. The last 20 years, it's been going down. So the resurrection of the American spirit and freedom, and respect for those who disagree with us. Not, we argue, we can argue on policy or disagree with each other, but to respect each other. And there's no need for personal attacks. That's just beneath the dignity of a civil society. So to me, the equivalent of the New Testament, the civil New Testament, is the Bill of Rights. And most people don't know about them. They don't know what they are. I'm not going to go into it now, but I used to teach a class on that, how it relates to healthcare freedom. But it's very important. That is the spiritual foundation of our civic life in America. And so I recommend people to study it and to really get to know it, all of them, including the 9th and 10th Amendments, which nobody knows about, but please check that out. So this is Easter. This is not exactly a sermon. I'm not a minister, but I'm giving my view of what the resurrection is. And it's beyond physical to, of course, it's spiritual above everything, that Jesus is not the body. He's not his body. He's the spirit. He's the Holy Spirit, or however you see it. And as are you, as am I. So if there's any message, it is what is in Christ, Jesus Christ is in us. The capacity to heal, the capacity to speak truth, and not being a pacifist. Jesus is no pacifist. He dealt blows to the money changers when he saw the corruption. And that's exactly what I think we need to do too, is there's a money changer class right here now that is probably not thinking of your interest. They're thinking of getting interest from you, but not your interest. So would Jesus put up with this? Would Jesus put up with being told he can't leave his house because there's a virus going around and there's, whatever? Would he put up with giving up all this freedom? I don't think so. He wasn't scared of the Romans. He wasn't scared of the priest and his society. He spoke his truth. So maybe that's the vision I have, is everybody speak their truth, their real truth. If your truth is, I'm scared, I just want to follow what the government tells me to do, then that's cool. That's fine. That's your business. If it's not, if you're on the fence, if you're like saying, I think some of the things people are saying, including Jim, might be some truth to it, then speak out. Speak out, because we don't want to wait until there's a society where we can't speak out. So anyway, the United States has been my home my entire life, and I have never seen it in such a situation where it is so unlike the United States of America that I have believed in, the possibility of at least. And I don't think it's too late to turn it around. I think there's going to be a massive reorganization of things to come. And I believe we can all communicate, whether we're from the conservative or liberal or moderate or whatever perspective you have, or Christian or non-Christian. We have to communicate, and there's room for disagreement and policy disagreement, and still to remain civil and respectful of each other's positions, and to have a civil debate and discussion of the facts, the scientific facts, the medical facts, the statistical facts, the legal facts, to discuss that, to get down to the bottom line here, what's going on, what has been going on. It's just beginning. It's going to go on for a long time. This is just the beginning, and I hope to have contribution to make to this dialogue, and I hope that this has been helpful to you today on Easter. And wishing you a very beautiful Easter and a resurrection in your life too, for whatever it is you want. For me, what I want is freedom, to have a life of prosperity and thriving and connection and love and happiness and joy, contribution. That's what I want. That's my vision. And whoever wants to join me, let's communicate, let's connect. Okay, well, God bless you on this Easter. It's Jim Jordan from Great Vibrant Health.